everyone, and welcome to the ABCs of Business. If you are an aspiring mental health professional, provider, eager to launch your practice and worried about how to make a go of it, let me break this down for you. It's really as easy as 1, 2, and 3, if you know exactly what you need to do first. I'm Amity Cooper, the founder of the professional development company Clinical Career Collective, a membership and community hub for the mental health professional at large, and I'll be your host and instructor for this masterclass webinar. A few housekeeping tips here while we're waiting for the remaining people to get on. I just want to go over a few things and suggest to you to close out and any tabs that you have open right now so you can give your full attention to this masterclass. Please don't download anything, and this will help prevent crashing, freezing, and any interruptions that may occur. If you do experience any problems during this webinar, you need to log off and maybe log back on. Go right ahead. You can rejoin us. That's not a problem, and it's totally understandable. We all get some tech snafus out there, so I appreciate that, and please stick with us and try to rejoin. If you continue having problems, we plan on sending out a replay of this webinar, so I promise you won't miss anything if you miss it this go around. If you have any questions, enter them into the chat box and we will be sure to address those throughout the course. And I would love to hear from you all. It's hard enough talking into a microphone and talking to the ether. So any and all interactions are please welcomed on this end. And it's a really good time to quickly grab a pen and paper, or even though I said to close down all apps, I find it's really easy for me to take notes on my notes app if you want to have that open, and then you can type away while you're watching the webinar. It sometimes makes it so much easier. So we're going to get started now. All right, let's get going. So this is just a quick rundown. Close the tabs. And right, here we go. So are you stuck in the New Year's resolution hole? Have you been trapped by that? Do you feel like you're maybe running on a hamster wheel, never making any real progress towards your business or career goals, no matter how hard you try? Are you frantically trying to sort through information about opening up your own practice while possibly still serving your agency clients, or worse, maybe not working as a therapist at all? I'm really curious if where you all are in your life and careers. Are you 2020 threw us for a loop. Are you harboring any of these feelings of uneasiness and uncertainty? And if so, you are truly not alone in this. So many people have been upended by these unprecedented times, and it can cause a lot of us to take pause or even to forego taking action because we just don't trust that our decisions are going to have a positive outcome. But now more than ever, this is a fear or failure to launch, a fear of trying because we wonder what the point is. And I think we can get stuck in this complacency. So I'm hoping that this masterclass will send a message to snap out of it and hopefully reset you on the right course. Do you feel incredibly paralyzed, lonely, or confused on how to begin or continue this process? Maybe you feel isolated because you're working alone. If you are as an independent contractor or a therapist, it's hard to get feedback these days when things feel very disjointed, where we're trying to meet up virtually, and it often can create it could propel that feeling of separation and disconnection. And it's hard to know what other people are doing because we're just so lost in our own stuff. Have you ever attempted unsuccessfully to start your private practice due to these uncertain times, financial worries, or maybe just an unclear strategy? It's hard to know how to move forward when things are constantly changing and shifting. The truth of the matter is, you went to school to learn how to improve your client's mental well-being, not how to grow and manage a profitable business. And that's okay. I get it. If you're tired of trying to figure everything out alone, I may have the perfect solution for you. But before I tell you what that is, let me back up a bit, and I want to give you a little bit of a background story and tell you about my history here. So, hello again. I'm Amity. And before I went to school for a second degree in counseling, I was a serial entrepreneur. I have over 18 years of experience as a successful startup entrepreneur in multiple industries, from fashion to gourmet chocolate, actually. I happen to hold 2 master's degrees, one in mental health counseling and applied communications with a focus in conflict resolution. And during my years of starting, operating, and running my businesses, I found that I had to invest, oh my gosh, a lot of time, money, and wherewithal, the energy into learning the ropes. There was nobody to guide me, and I learned everything by myself through trial and error. This is a really common experience for most entrepreneurs and small business owners. They learn as they go and fail often. That's why after I completed my clinical training, I founded the Clinical Career Collective, which is a professional development company that supports the mental health professional at large. I really found it my mission and purpose to help other mental professionals discover that they have an unfair advantage in business and in clinical practice so that they can learn and advance and become virtually unlimited in their lives and businesses. And I'm proud to say that C3 sponsored its first ever successful virtual summit called the Healing Entrepreneurship Summit, Adapting Technologies for Modern Mental Health Practice. This came just at the tail end of 2020, which brought together over 15 speakers from the mental health, new exponential technologies, and entrepreneurship to discuss these challenging and changing times and new landscapes that we were entering as mental and behavioral health clinicians. So that's a little bit about me, and I think that it provides you sort of a backdrop to why I feel very comfortable talking about starting and opening your private clinical practice. But what I wanted to share with you, and I think it's so important to convey, is that what I've learned over these last 2 decades are that within every business, there are at least 5 fundamental elements that are essential to a business's success. And they are, and I'm sort of paraphrasing what this wonderful author, Josh Kaufman, who wrote the Personal MBA, has said about business. And I think he says it so succinctly here. So essentially, it's when you have a business, you are providing a product or service that's something of value to others. It's something that people want or need at a price they are willing to pay in a way that satisfies the customer's needs and expectations so that the business brings in sufficient profit to make it worthwhile for the owners to continue their operations, right? It makes perfect sense. It is a dialogue, it is an arrangement, it's an exchange of money, services, energy, and time that provides a solution for others, okay? And you're not having a business just for others' sake. You're actually creating a business that works for you and that provides you with the wherewithal and the means to keep running, right? So we always we run a high risk of failure in any new venture, and even if you don't craft or work with these 5 elements correctly, there's a lot of risk involved. But let me say it before. Let me say it again, because I've said it many, many times in many ways. If you aren't generating profit in your endeavor, you really have a hobby. It's a pastime, and you may be spending 80 hours a week on that pastime. But if you are not generating profit for yourself or for your business to sufficiently self-sustain, then you have a hobby. It is not. It is a sum game loss. Your practice is not your hobby. You are providing a service and a lifeline that is desperately needed. So I'm here today to give you a shortcut so you can quickly get your practice open in just 7 days. My real wish for you is throughout this class, you will begin to think about your clinical business differently. Think about yourself as a business owner differently than maybe what you have assumed or played out in your life so far. So, just food for thought. If you've set your sights on opening your practice this year, and if you feel that 2021 marks this shift in your professional and clinical dreams, then you want to keep watching because I have a special offer to help you kickstart your private practice this month. If you're interested in opening your practice this month, then I want to personally invite you to my upcoming 7-day intensive bootcamp that starts on January 23rd, just days away. I promise this will get your clinical doors open in just a few simple steps so you can start building the life and clinical practice you've always dreamt of. So you can profit and serve others every single month. It is really as easy as 1, 2, and 3. So then the question I often hear is, yes, I am all down for that. I just get a little confused and overwhelmed by what do I do? Where do I start? And this really means to me, and I often interpret this, and what I hear is, what do I do first, right? Sort of, that took a while to get out. But the question is, where do I start? And then what do I do first? It would be my privilege to walk with you on this journey, and I will personally promise to help you move from that overwhelmed sensation and sort of spinning wheel that you may be on to a confident and assured clinical business owner. It's no secret that having a practice is the most effective way to having an amazing income while serving more people. But the problem is we were never taught these essential skills needed to build a great business in our clinical training. Dealing with day-to-day administrative tasks and new technologies is immensely time consuming to implement. Wouldn't you agree that being a good therapist is hard enough, let alone thinking about all of these systems and processes? Let me know in the chat if that's something that you identify with or you resonate with, if that's the current sentiment. I mean, it's hard enough doing your job well when you have all of these other what seem to be distractions in your administrative tasks and the needs of the business. So right now you're probably feeling maybe paralyzed, maybe frozen on how to begin this process. But let me tell you that all those New Year's resolutions have basically been put on hold. I really feel that 2021 could really be your year to make a change and step into these new shoes. I'm wondering, are business basics foreign to you? Most of us were really never taught or modeled what constitutes good basic business skills. Maybe your parents or caregivers never worked for themselves. Maybe they always worked for others. How would you know or understand what goes into running and operating your own business when it was never modeled for you? You kind of wonder if it's expensive to open your private practice. Maybe the question becomes, or the consideration is, you've just invested 2 to 4 years in training, and how much more time will this take me? All this purported effort to get it up and running? Is it really worth it? And then you consider all of the paperwork and the organizational efforts and money. How do I pay for it? What about my taxes, insurance, the marketing, the office rental, or the telehealth software program? How do you make this? How do you make it work? Maybe you're wary about your abilities. Maybe you just finished grad school and you don't believe you should be going out on your own yet. You're kind of looking to your peers and you're seeing that they're struggling as well and they're not really benefiting or getting the clients or making the money that they wanted to make. And so you're hesitant to jump in. And the list goes on and on. There's numerous limiting beliefs around setting up a business for yourself. And that can really keep you stuck, especially if you look to others who've gone before you, because what they've done may not have been the smartest or best way to make a go of this. So I'm really here to change that. And that has been my mission and purpose in these last 2 years with formulating and creating C3. I really want to change the dynamic and the dance that goes on between the healing profession and the entrepreneurial worlds. Starting and owning a business can both be exciting and a little nerve-wracking. And trust me, I can definitely speak from experience about this. I remember just having the angst of launching a new product and really wondering if I was launching to crickets. But for what you need to accomplish right now, the ABCs, the general structure, the way you set up a business is really as easy as 1, 2, and 3 with these simple steps to take, moving you in the right direction. But I do want to review what might be or what has been the challenges and some ways of thinking about a small business's success or failure. And it really depends on how they're done. So the first thing is we have planning, right? It's all in the execution. It's all about the decisions and the steps that we make to set ourselves up for success. The second thing is money. You can't escape it. It's always the elephant in the room. It's whether, do I have the financial wherewithal to make a go of this dream or not? And how do I go about finding it if I need it? Then there's the marketing. And that involves, and we'll go into this in more detail, but marketing is about the communication strategy. This is how you attract your clients and how do you serve your clients. What message are you sending out and saying to the world that you're in business and that you're ready to serve? So let's tackle challenge number 1, which is poor planning. In general, the odds are stacked against us if we are a new small business owner. Did you know that 20% of all small businesses fail within the first year? And by year 5, only half survive. By year 10, 70% of those small businesses have closed their doors. If you follow this in your mind's eye, it starts off really high and really positive, and then it's this slow decline that you see. By year 10, only 30% of those businesses are still breathing. So let's take a quick glance at what we can do to prevent poor planning and small business failure. First steps are always in your preparation of the journey. And I'd like to make this quote here. So relay this quote here. Those who wish to leave their belongings and their growth unchanged should not become therapists. Sidney Girard. It's essential to take a personal inventory of your life. You got to figure out, and you have to know, we as the helpers and the healers in the world have spent a lot of time examining our past, and we've come to be reflective in general. We know how to do that. We know how to live an examined life. But this is taking it a step further and deeper. When you decide that you are going to open a business, you're basically taking this huge risk, and you yourself are becoming very vulnerable because you're up for scrutiny, and it's people are judging you and looking at you and making quick decisions on whether you can help them or not. And the more you have your own goals and dreams and vision in place, and how you think and how you want to be seen as a therapist, the better off you will be. And that means all of these values and beliefs need to be in alignment and congruent with your life's dreams and wishes. Because your business, as I said before, your business is there to serve you. It's also to serve others, and that's by being an in-service professional, but it's really to serve you. It's there to sustain you, not the other way around. You don't want to constantly be serving your business and working and piddling in your business if you will have to make those adjustments down the road, but please understand that your business is set up to serve you. It's a reflection of who you are. So lastly, I'd just like to say that working as a therapist, we are acting as guides, and that means that we have to have a mission and purpose, and that's to help others in need, correct? So we need this reminder that we may all be on a mission to serve, but we are not missionaries or martyrs for an unending cause. So let's turn our attention to goals. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago, it's already mid-January and most people's New Year's goals have failed. Research shows that as many as 50% of adults in the United States make New Year's resolutions, but fewer than 10% keep them for more than a few months. And we're now turning the corner into late January, and I'm sure, I know for me, getting this masterclass webinar up was a huge goal of mine, and I'm really cutting it to the quick here. So bear with me here. So New Year's resolutions are often related to three major issues. Usually it's difficulty. We want to break old habits, and we want to focus on specific outcomes that change those old habits so that we can solve problems with purpose. And psychological researchers Latham and Locke found time and time again in their studies that setting goals can increase performance and productivity at work between 11 to 25%. That's incredible. And I'd like to add that not all goals are created. In fact, the building blocks of goals are founded on the habits we develop. By focusing on micro accomplishments and solving those problems with a purposeful outcome, we see a much higher rate of success and performance. And so that really accomplishing those goals begets other goals, and feelings of self-esteem rise and jump through the roof. Just FYI. Goals are an essential part of striving and building out your vision for life and your business. But there's actually a micro component of building out your goals. High hard goals is a technical name that for these large goals, and they work because they require attention and persistence to two really important factors in determining performance. The perfect example of a high hard goal is wanting to open your private practice. However, don't forget the importance of creating smaller, concrete, clear goals as well to help you achieve this. These are what James Clear of his New York Times bestseller Atomic Habits says is the difference between processes and goals. James says goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to these results. And I'm going to repeat that again. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to these results. And this is key. This is a key element that applies to setting up and running your private practice. Clear goals have concrete KPIs, otherwise known as key performance indicators, which will allow you to focus and achieve a flow state. So this is where you're in the creative, entrepreneurial, therapreneur zone, which I like to call. So to succeed in opening and maintaining a private practice, you need to have both those large goals of opening the practice and setting it up correctly, as well as clear, specific micro goals related to how you will actually do this and accomplish and measure your progress. Are you still with me? I hope this is making sense. Please let me know in the chat if you agree with this statement. But hang tight, hang with me, because we're just going to keep going, and I'm going to give you some more details on this later. Before we move on to challenge 2, I'd like to share a quote from my favorite psychiatrist who has been very influential in my life, and that's Carl Jung. He says, "It all depends on how we look at things and not on how things are in themselves." To me, this is all about changing your perspective. And I would like to challenge you to look more closely at this next challenge, which is our relationship to money and with money. Money in and of itself is just a piece of paper. It holds only the value we place upon it, right? And it's a known fact that all the money in the world does not make you a happy person. However, what if money represented something more than just a piece of paper? What if it went beyond financial freedom? What if it meant the ability to serve your community in ways that you never thought imaginable? What if it kept your doors open to expand your services and have a greater impact on communities in need? Suddenly, that money becomes much more than that paper. It's a conduit for change. Money becomes not only a symbol for where your values lie, but a vehicle towards how you live a purposeful life. I really want to spend a moment just talking about challenge number 2, which is our money complexes. A healthy desire for wealth is not greed. It's a desire for life. And that is a quote by author Jennifer Sincero, and who I'm going to mention in the next slide. But just keep that in mind. A healthy desire for wealth is not greed. It's a desire for life. You know, what I found after playing around in different industries and now coming into the mental health world is many across industries, across cultures, and just across cultures, we have a really hard time building self-esteem and financial self-worth, especially in the helping fields. I can't tell you, and I'm sure you know this as well, but so many of us get into this career and we say, well, we're gonna start off slow and easy, and I'm gonna try to get as many clients as I possibly can, and I'm only gonna charge $50 an hour for my time. And in truth, you will never pay yourself at that rate. You will never pay yourself what you're worth. You will never be able to pay off your debt. You've spent 2 to 4 years, maybe longer, getting this degree, and you are overqualified. So let's put it that way. And we have a real challenge with putting a stake in the ground and saying, I am worth this amount. Somehow we feel that people are not going to pay us that. We tend to have a skewed understanding of money and in general and how finances and how money works. And there is a confusion around what profitability is versus cash flow. And I would like to help correct that and reset that compass to think about money differently. So the first step is to rebuild your relationship with money. And often that means taking a hard look at your finances and taking a financial inventory. You need to review your budget, assess your debts, what your current income is, and what you aspire to make, what you aspire to earn. Understanding your money flow will bring peace and understanding to this very real and often anxiety-provoking problem. Who doesn't have money issues? And that's what I was trying to say earlier, is that we all struggle with this at some point in our lives, and maybe it is a continuous struggle. Many people spend years just never able to get up and over their money complexes. It's either you don't have enough and things are scarce, or you are overrun by money and it seems to be stomping all over you. It could be more of a burden than a blessing. Either way, the sooner you learn about your relationship to money, what your history is, what it is to money, the better. I'm going to give you an exercise. I love it. It was proposed by Jen Sincero, the successful author of You Are a Badass series. And in her recent book, which I reread just within the last couple months, it's called You Are a Badass at Making Money. Jen really took her emotional money complex to task, and I love this. And so this is what I want to suggest. First, she sat herself down and gave herself a stern talking to and wrote a letter to money. She wrote down on a single piece of paper, she wrote down all of the reasons that money, and let's say in an anthropomorphic sense, had let her down and how money had done her wrong. All the reasons that it had failed her or turned its back on her. She put it out on paper. And then she took that letter and she challenged her internal relationship to the greedy greenback and redesigned her attitudes, beliefs, and thoughts around what money could be and should be in her life. So I'm going to suggest something similar to you to try. I want you to take a single sheet of paper and I want you to put a line right down the middle. I want you to list 5 things you remember your parents or adult figureheads told you about money, or things that you remember anecdotally that you heard about money and finances. And I want you to write those 5 things down on the before side. So take any and all of those statements, and they could be negative, it could be attitudinal, it could be any of those, any beliefs or statements, and write them down. Now, on the right side, I want you to rewrite those statements into positive new truths. I want you to take a long look at that and see if there's any patterns or aha moments from that. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to photocopy that letter or that list. You could do both. You could say, first you could to make these lists of 5 things that you have been taught and things that you would like to change or new attitudes that you'd like to develop. And then you can take that and create your own letter to money. But either way, I would love for you to make a copy of that. Put it in a self-addressed envelope and then turn around and put it in an envelope and address it to me. And I'm going to give you my address right now. I want you to post date it for this time. So you're listening to this masterclass in January of 2021. I want you to post date it in January 2022, and I want you to mail this to me. Please attention it to Amity Cooper Clinical Career Collective at 7800 East Union Avenue, suite number 420, Denver, Colorado, 80237. And on the bottom of that envelope, please put a reference mark that says Do This First or DTF January 2021. I really want to be able to support you in this, even if we don't have a relationship in a year's time. I think it'll be really powerful for you to see and receive this letter from you addressed to money in a year's time to see how far you've come. Let's do this together. Remember, nobody puts money, baby, in the corner. So let's move on to challenge number 3, which is usually the poor marketing strategy. There are 2 ways in which most clinicians fail at marketing. The first way is that people don't really do any marketing at all. They just set up shop and expect the flow and the groups of people to come to them without really putting in any additional effort. And most of the time, they're disappointed by the lack of results. I talk a lot about this in my ebook, The Rise of Technology in Mental Health Practice. But anyway, the second mistake is the key here, the key to marketing is, just remember this: if you serve everyone, you serve no one. If you promote your services to everyone and anyone, you speak to no one. It gets lost in the Ethernet. If you specialize in everything, you're an expert in nothing. So to those people who have numerous certifications and accreditations and so forth, and you say, I can help you with not only your relationship, but how to manage your OCD and how to help your children, and by the way, I can train your dog too. It doesn't work. There are 2 journeys we must consider here. Your client's journey, who's trying to find you, they're looking for you, and you, the clinician, of how you're trying to throw up the billboard signs and say, click here, find me here. I am going to be your guide and witness to your problems, and I can help you gain relief to your pain. Both require a marketing plan and a strategy, which we're going to get into in just a moment. Instead of passively waiting for clients to find you, a successful targeted marketing strategy is definitely the way to go. You cannot afford not to do that. So for the client, think about this. When they are in pain, they're looking for immediate relief. They're searching everywhere for a solution. And it also requires a great deal of vulnerability to put themselves in this very painful place, to own it, to speak about it, in hopes of getting quality treatment from somebody that is a stranger to them. Can they be trusted? Is it a good fit? They're seeking immediate relief, and they want those answers right away from somebody who understands them. And this is where your hand goes up as a clinician. And I'm really speaking about this under the context of marketing online today. We've all been thrown into this virtual landscape, and this is where we're going to be, and this is how things are going to move forward. So I'm really speaking right now from how this dynamic works about finding clients and how they find you, okay? So it's really important that you establish a clear ideal client profile, and that otherwise is known as an avatar. And this is your very first step. So your first step, actually, that's your second step. Your first step is, okay, I'm going to open up a therapy practice. And the next step is, Who's your client? Who are you going to serve? Everything about your practice, including your marketing and communication strategy, should speak directly to this ideal client. From your visual assets, the language you use, the tone in which you create your messaging, your colors, the ways in which your client will access and engage with your content and your services that you provide on your website. Your systems and your messaging should all work in harmony together to create a unified brand identity. So now what, right? We've covered 3 mistakes and a way to fix them for planning, money, and marketing. I've also laid out some statistics for small businesses, for clinical practice ownership, which might sound scary, but don't panic. The question is, how do we move forward here? So as I've mentioned, my goal really is for you, if I can help you remove any of these mental blocks preventing you from opening your private practice today, or at least by the end of the month, I want to alleviate that, take away that extra stress and anxiety that you might be having so you can finish out this masterclass feeling really confident and ready to go and take action. I truly, truly believe that being in business is the best way of being in service. And I'm going to describe now how easy business can be with my 6 steps to ABCs of business and launching your practice. This is an exclusive preview of what we'll be covering in depth in my Do This First Bootcamp. It's been said often, it may be simple, but it ain't easy. There are 6 stages that any new business entity must go through in order to actually open their doors. And this is what I would like to highlight for you. So here you see assess, business plan, costs, documentation, execution, and what to do first. And let's get into it. Stage or step A is assessment. You should be good at this, right? After all, when a client walks through your doors, you do an initial intake to get and quickly establish where they stand. Well, the same is needed for your business. How ready are you to step into that role of business owner? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities and your threats or your barriers to enter your new chosen market? If you're interested in I'm just going to give these to you as an aside thing. If you are interested in taking a 2-minute assessment on grading what kind of therapreneur you are right now, we will provide a link to that quiz in the follow-up replay email after this webinar. So I just wanted to plant that in your mind to remember to take advantage of that. Your business plan begins to take shape when your assessment is complete and you've looked and taken in the landscape and taken in the field. When you create and craft or write your business plan, the next steps are you have to decide what kind of entity you're going to be. Are you going to set yourself up as an LLC or a sole proprietor? Are you going to be part of a partnership? Are you going to create a group practice with clinicians working under you? Maybe you have visions of creating a franchise mental health practice. How do you bring your services and gifts to the world? And where do you see that happening? Online, down the street? Who knows? But this is part of the business plan development process. The preparation you take and the attention you give to your practice upfront will be rewarded in the long run. A lack of planning will quickly reveal those cracks in your execution and cause you a lot of headaches down the road. And that is why I stress so heavily that taking the time and energy to really think about and dream about what your life looks like as a business owner is so essential and so important to building a solid foundation. Step C are the costs involved. Evaluating and defining your startup costs is the next step. Your service-based business means that you are trading time for dollars here. You need to know what to expect and what to plan for. Have you accurately projected your costs? What will the revenue begin to outweigh? When will that revenue begin to outweigh your expenses? This is your break-even point. Are your efforts generating profitability with every therapy session and sustaining your business and life goals? What is your return on that investment for the strategies you're using? Have you invested enough, or are you throwing your money away needlessly? These next steps are perhaps the most frustrating when you're setting up shop because they can feel foreign and overwhelming. But trust me, I can break them down for you so you know what line item to attack first. If only it were so simple as needing your degree. To open your practice, there are a lot of legal requirements that you need to meet. There's the organizational documentation, there's your insurance, the licenses, business permits, there are your agreements that you sign with consultants. All of those are just a handful of things that I'm listing off here. To open any business, you will definitely need an expert by your side. And that means not your girlfriend where you're going and grabbing drinks. You actually need to find a CPA, which is an accountant, and a lawyer or a paralegal to help you navigate the proper documentation so that you set yourself up and are viewed not only by your state's Secretary of State office, but also on a federal level, because you're paying taxes both on the state level and the federal level. You might be feeling, let me know how I'm saying this, and then I'm realizing, why don't you tell me if this makes sense? Am I jumping ahead? Am I being redundant? What do you need? Is this meeting your expectations right now? Will you please let me know how this is going for you? Does all of this documentation, description help kind of shape the scope of what you need to take care of? Let me know. So stage and step E is all about the execution. This is where really you've got the people part down, right? This is sort of what I love to say as our call, as our unfair advantage. We're people. We're people. We have high emotional intelligence. We have really good social skills. We know how to engage with others. We know how to engage and build rapport with strangers right away, right? This is our skill set. But you also need the systems and the processes to help support all of those great gifts that you have. So execution is really about creating efficient systems that can run your daily operations. They are the systems that allow you to track your marketing strategies to see what's working and what's not. They are the systems and structures that run your back office so you can be with your clients. You need an execution plan so that you can streamline your practice to avoid time wasters. So you can run efficiently, bring in more people, keep seeing and helping more people, and not worry about the paperwork that comes with it. You need to be able to understand and set up protocols to measure the success of your practice and evaluate the areas that need shoring up. All of these things can make or break a practice, and that brings me to my personal favorite. After all that education and planning, money, and sleepless nights trying to figure out how to take that degree and put yourself into the driver's seat of your own career, there's always one resounding question: what do I do first? And that's exactly why I've designed my Do This First Bootcamp, to get your business opened in 7 days, even if you don't know a thing about business. I've given you the basis of opening up a business, but in my bootcamp, I'm going to take you step by step through these 5 elements every successful business needs and accomplish it in just 7 days flat. You will be able to fully launch your business and walk away with a concrete business plan, your ideal client, all the documentation, and literally everything you need to be successful in under 2 weeks. This 7-day step-by-step intensive gives you the only roadmap you need to be successful. Once you attend my bootcamp, you'll know how to establish your professional identity, hone your niche market, set your financial goals, and systemize your front and back offices so you can turn your practice marketing funnel on that drives clients through your doors so that your life and practice become virtually unlimited. I realize that in some ways I'm taking on the establishment here, but why can't you make a healthy and lucrative income? I'm saying that you don't have to be a $1 million earner, although I love that goal. It's a fantastic goal. Your wealth, your abundant mindset is all subjective. Once you figure out what your dreams are, you can set your course and compass towards that vision. Why does being a caregiver have to be a dead-end job? Why should putting people and community first go unrewarded or validated in our society? I believe it doesn't have to be this way. So I've made it my mission to eradicate mental health practitioner entrepreneurial poverty. And in order to do that, I need to lead by example. Why shouldn't having to take another low-paying, under-earning position because of limiting or false beliefs? We need to work together to become the best clinicians we can be, because community growth is good for everybody. I'm looking right now for at least 50 people to walk through these simple steps with me, and we will open your practice in just 7 days. During this time, I'm committed to you and your success. Together, we will assess, strategize, plan, and execute your professional career goals as a mental health professional. And for this opportunity, I am significantly lowering my hourly rate and significantly increasing my contact hours. Normally, when I consult, I charge $297 for 45 minutes of strategy. When I do therapy, my going rate is around $120 per hour. This month's offer to join our Founders Group Intensive is only $497. Please, 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 you will have this opportunity to reserve your seat now following this masterclass. And I'll reiterate this, that my time averages out to roughly $85 an hour when I'm doing this course. This is an incredible offer. I don't know of any other coaches or supervisors that charge this low a rate anywhere. These spaces are limited for a reason. I've never done this kind of program before. In fact, this is a really vulnerable place for me to be, because I have really always, my career and the face of my businesses have always been the product or services that I was providing. I really personally took a back seat to that. But I feel so strongly in helping you move forward that I feel like I can't sit on the sidelines, and this is my wheelhouse, and this is what I feel comfortable in doing, and I've helped others do this, and now I'm paying it forward here. I want to make sure that you receive the best quality attention and satisfaction from this experience. So it's really important to me that I focus on each and every one of you and of your dreams. So that's why I'm keeping this such a small beta group. A lot is riding on this. Your livelihood is riding on it, and so are thousands of people who don't have access to quality mental health professionals right now. We need you up and running fast so you can start helping and serving others. You know, I've mentioned this and I've talked about this before in other areas, but definitely on my website. We are facing a global mental health crisis. The world needs us now more than ever. And the sooner you stop procrastinating, the sooner you can go make a difference, save a life, and build your dream practice. Please, please, please don't let inertia, fear, or hesitation keep you from grabbing your dream. So technically, because this group is a beta, I've significantly dropped the fee and limited the offer only to those of you watching this webinar right now. Let's be honest, 2020 was rough. We could all use a win right now. I want to see you all succeed. And because of that, I believe of making it's such a huge impact for all of us and for the people in our community. So keeping this all in mind, I've made this program price a no-brainer. Come April 2021, the price will increase to $997. I don't know if you realize this, but most online programs will charge you a hefty fee, sometimes upwards of $2,000. A typical online course runs from 6 to 10 weeks. Studies show that the online e-learning industry is booming, especially during COVID. You can learn anything from anywhere. Boost your skill set for a promotion, learn a new language, join up with others, build a community, create a village. But the dark side of this industry is that it's inundated with repeat and look-alike products. And typically, there are only 30% of online course takers that actually finish their courses. So people are willing to spend upwards of $5,000 for training, and then they never complete it. They bail out. They don't do it. Can you imagine doing that in grad school? I mean, that would never happen. I mean, we have so much riding on that investment. This offer is different. I have set you up to be successful in this bootcamp by creating urgency and accountability and including clear, obtainable objectives with a solid deadline. These are clear, hard goals. I want you to get out there and start serving those in need. Desperate times call for desperate actions. So let's get on it. Do This First Bootcamp will deliver modules that go into depth on the following topics: product, discovery and creation, marketing, attracting attention and building demand, your client attraction system for sales that keeps your calendar full, value delivery, making good on your promises, finance, everything money. You'll also walk away with a detailed 90-page ebook full of concrete information and exercises to apply what you learned in my course. This course, this boot camp, this intensive, this challenge, however you want to call it, will totally give you the information to jumpstart and open your practice. It's the upfront work that counts, right? We go deep. We provide daily tutorials and checklists. Each evening throughout the week, I will go live on Facebook to answer any and all of your questions. And for now, expect to set aside up to an hour to do the daily challenges and up to 1 hour in the evening. And we will be clocking in at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those Q&As. Here, you will acquire those basic skills necessary for creating and sustaining a thriving mental health practice. You'll discover some of the latest technologies out there that are changing the face of our industry, and you'll learn how to capitalize on these technologies to streamline your practice, to run more efficiently, and gain better control over where your time and energy is spent. Some of the highlights. You're going to know how to fully create and tell your practice's story, how to use concrete research data to drive your marketing strategy, how to choose the right name, location, and business plan, plus all that business documentation we were talking about earlier, and the organizational structure and setup. Are you interested? I surely hope so. Now, there should be a pop-up window saying that you can register here for this course now. Please go ahead and click that button so that you can register now for our Do This First program. I'm going to say it one more time. Please join my beta group for only $4.97 today. You will ramp up your business fitness level and take advantage of this really great opportunity to get all of these amazing bonuses.